Alright, hello people. Today we have a very special thing to give you all. This is Table 500 for Vision, aka Vision 500, aka whatever we end up calling this series. And basically we're gonna bring you the meme decks, the weird decks, the creative decks, just the off-meta picks that don't really make sense, but for some reason end up working one way or another. And today we have a very special deck to me personally, which is this Ogles deck, which we saw in one of our more recent premium tournaments. It did surprisingly well. I think it went 3-3, which is not bad for such a very much off-meta pick. But yes, the deck is basically built around this card, Bloody Ogle. It's an old Legion. So that tells you how far into the barrel we're looking. But the nice thing about Legions that Spike Brothers can do that no other clan really has access to, at least at this point in the game, is Rising Nova lets you copy your Legion, so you can have a Vanguard with a Force marker and still Legion with it. So technically Rising Nova is our ride target of choice, even though Bloody Ogle really is the headlining grade 3 of the deck. We also have Bull Spike here, just because Bull Spike's a really good card. And in case you couldn't tell, because we're focused on a Legion, we don't really stride, so we get to use Bull Spike on the rear guard, copy it with Rising Nova, just to have that extra little bit of power to move the force markers around, etc., etc. For the rest of the deck, we have just some basic consistency cards, cards that let you draw cards, cards that let you search out cards, things like that, because this deck has a very clear win condition, and getting to that win condition is pretty much the only thing this deck can do, which is really where the negatives of this deck comes in. If you don't see your win condition, you're probably not going to win. But speaking of, this is our win condition right here, Frozen Ogle. Yup. This card requires your Vanguard to be Legion, which is pretty much the only reason that we're playing a Legion. Like, Bloody Ogle's skill doesn't matter, it's just a Spike Brothers Legion, and we're already playing 4 copies of Frozen Ogle, so we may as well just throw the Bloody Ogle in as the Legion mate for it. But Frozen Ogle is pretty surprisingly good. It's Counterblast 1 on rear, put it into Soul. When it attacks, at the end of the battle it attacks your opponent's Vanguard. If your Vanguard is Legion, you can pay the cost, and then search your deck for any card, call it to an open rear, and shuffle. I'll give you a minute to see where this is going. The place where it's going is that Frozen Ogle can call itself. So that's basically the general win condition of the deck, is to get your Rising Nova Vanguard, copy your Legion skill, get your Frozen Ogle out on the rear guard, swing with it with the force markers from Rising Nova that Bull Spike lets you keep on your rear guards, swing with the other 2 Frozen Ogles just to get more attacks in, and there's also another extender here. Here it is, the Mayhem Tiger. This is another card that can potentially fit into this build. Basically, it gives you guard restrict, in a sense. You can retire your opponent's grade 2 or less Guardians for Soul Blast 1 during the battle that this unit attacked. So you just go through all your Frozen Ogle plays, and when you go through your last Frozen Ogle, then you go into the Mayhem Tiger, just to try to finish them off with a little bit of an extra push. And there's also this grade 1 that you pair with the Mayhem Tiger. It's Counterblast 1. At the end of the battle, this boosted a charging unit. Charge is the Spike Brothers keyword. You can bind that unit face up, then call it to an open rear guard, basically restanding it. And then if Eliza, this unit, is charging, that unit also gains plus 2,000 power until end of turn. So it lets you have a little extender for your Mayhem Tiger, if and when you go into that, which is pretty nice. And the rest of it is all pretty much the same kind of thing. G-Zone doesn't matter a whole lot. Usually you don't go into the strides, but there's like 4 copies of Bull Power, the Progenitor Dragon and the Zeroth Dragon. There is one copy of the GB8 that's usually the win condition for most Spike Brothers decks, and like, if you hit GB8 and can get this off, you probably can win with it, but usually most of your games should end before you get to GB8. And then just G-Guards, which I'm gonna assume these are just the best G-Guards Spikes has access to. This replay is basically, it's gonna show off a bit of what happens when things go right for this deck, which should be exciting. And here we have the Bloody Ogle, so we're getting set up. We have 1 piece, we have 2 piece, we have 3 pieces. All we really want here is the Bull Spike. If we can get the Bull Spike, we're in a fantastic position. Alright, and we are seeing the main reason that pretty much every Spikes deck plays Rising Nova nowadays in Premium, at least. You get one of each type of Force marker. So you get both the Force 1 and the Force 2. Make things big and also hit for crit. Very, very nice. Combine that with Bull Spike to move them around. And we are going to see a Stride actually deciding not to go for the Frozen Ogle plays. Instead, just setting up some GB here. Probably to make sure these mecha instructors are online for later. Seems fair. We need to save this soul that we have in here. All this lovely 4 soul. We need to save it for our real finisher turns when the boys come out. A Morfessa, as well as a Karen here. So we do have attack extension. Ooh, this is going to be a bit of a push turn, but probably not enough to take the game. Roasted Taco just getting hit by loops and shenanigans. Unfortunately, that's going to end up being one of the issues this deck faces against most likely. You can get your Frozen Ogle plays off on your first grade 3 turn, which is great, but you do have to have the stars kind of aligned to be able to do that, and if you don't, your opponent can just loop you out of the game if they're playing anything meta, like Fenrir or Hari or something to that regard. Alright, here comes down the Drag Fencer Dagda, as well as the Morfessa. The Morfessa is unfortunately not currently active, but this Dagda will make it so with its skill. So it's 1 damage coming in. All these attacks are swinging for only 1 damage, so most of them are pretty takeable. But we might see a G-Guard come down, perhaps? At some... Roasted Taco apparently not very well versed in the Luard matchup. Well, there's one of the kind of nice things about a deck like this with the Ogles is you don't always have to know what your opponent's doing. You're kind of just gonna be sitting there waiting for your chance to loop your Ogles until you can just blow them out of the game in 1 turn. So you can kind of just sit there and let your opponent do up whatever they want to do. There's not too many pieces of interaction you really have in the deck. So you really don't have to know. You really don't have to worry about, oh, this is what Dagda does, this is what Morfessa does, this is what Drag Abyss does. You can just focus on yourself and your own play and making sure that your Ogles perform to the best of their ability. Does decide to PG the Vanguard attack, which I think makes a lot of sense. This is really the only threatening thing this turn. Also, not using the Drag Fencer Dagda, we're not at the correct ritual count. Goodness me. That is a bit worrying for Luard here. Oh, and double crits. That may spell bad things but we definitely have enough shield to take this attack, and we're gonna have to, or it's lethal damage. Luckily, though, it's only 30k power. We're at 23k. We can just throw down this crit trigger, or even do a G-Guard if we so choose. Wow, Roasted Taco actually considering taking the damage here, wanting wanting the damage and just hoping for a heal. It's very bold, but I don't think it's going to work out for you in this instance. Yeah, it says no point in risking it. That makes complete sense to me. I don't know if we can take a look at the deck. We cannot. But we have seen 2 heal triggers so far this game. So in a 30-card deck, that's, what, a 1 in 15 chance to hit a heal? Here comes the Bloody Ogle. Here comes the Frozen Ogle. Oh, and Rising Nova. So we did skip Stride because we're going to call. And we're copying Bull Spike and Bloody, so we are going to see the Legion with a Frozen Ogle on the rear guard. Here it comes. 2 Frozen Ogles in drop zone. Hopefully there's some way to recycle those back into the deck. Sikudamato. Oh, yeah, that's right. Legion skill means you put 4 cards from your drop zone back into your deck. So, putting back both these copies of Frozen Ogle and immediately searching one out to Legion with it. Absolutely incredible. And we have 2 copies of Frozen Ogle in deck. We have 1 on the rear. 1 is, of course, right here as part of the Legion. Malik questioning how they got the Legion off. We have Bloody Ogle, and we have a Vanguard that says, hey, a grade 3? I'll just take that skill. Thank you very much. Here we go. We also have the Bull Spike backing it up, so we can move these force markers around if we want. Just a Soul Blast 1, and this becomes a 29k column for every single Ogle swing. Or Frozen Ogle swing from this column. Because we do have the Bloody Ogle here, which will be on its own markers and power. Yeah, this, as I was saying, reaching pretty deep into the barrel. This Legion as a mechanic is pretty old by this point. It was a thing back when I first started playing Vanguard, which was like, I want to say almost, how much? 6-7 years ago at this point almost? So it can be a little confusing for people not familiar with it. And here comes our Frozen Ogle. Let's see it. Bull Spike moving the force markers, just getting insane Frozen Ogle column. Here we go, boys. And unlike a lot of cards, like original Nightmare Doll Alice and such, Frozen Ogle does not have to hit. It just happens at the end of the battle it attacks, which is what makes Frozen Ogle such an insane card and why this strategy actually has some merit. As we're seeing here, able to block that attack, but we have another one coming for you, buddy. Don't think you're done. Oh, and we also get to use Bull Spike's on miss skill. When an attack doesn't hit, you get to draw a card and retire an opponent's rear guard just for free on top of already using the frozen or the force marker moving effect. 34k to crit. Oh, you have enough to guard this attack? It won't matter. I have another one coming straight for you. And Frozen Ogle's skill gets to come down again. And it doesn't have to call a Frozen Ogle. It can call anything. So any kind of final attack extension you want here is up for the grabs. This is such an insane part of old Spike Brothers cards to me that they could search out literally any card. Like, there's no restrictions of name or archetype or anything. There's so many cards that just say, search your deck for a card, call it to an open rear. And that's it. That's all you need. And we're gonna see the Vanguard swing in, a Legion Vanguard. Soul Blasting to give it more power. You can't even see the power because of the amount of force markers and how stretched this is because of the Legion. And here's the especially spicy part. Roasted Taco in chat saying, Force 1 gives 10,000 power to both Vanguards, because you technically have 2. So not only is the Rising Nova gaining 20k, the Frozen Ogle is also gaining 20k. So Force 1 is currently giving a total of 40,000 additional power. As if this deck wasn't silly enough. Crit 2 and extra power, has to just take the attack there, hit with a stand trigger. That's just game right there. Ogles come in, sweeping it up. Far too strong for you. This deck, dude, is... Roasted Taco, love this deck. I do too. This is insanity, and this is exactly the kind of thing you can expect from our Table 500 series in the future. So I thoroughly hope you are ready for more, because we have plenty planned for you to enjoy. But for now, I've been Checkmaige. This has been Ogles. You've been watching the Vision YouTube channel, and I hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one.